What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Adorama, 42 West 18th Street. This is Adorama Events, the event space I built for us, and I brought some very cool people here. Fujifilm is in attendance because they did something with their cameras before anyone else, actually. They did camera to cloud in body, no charge, just a firmware update, and you can connect your camera from shot to a cloud for a collaborative workspace with Frame.io. I brought some really good people to give you guys more insight on it and some more hands-on talk about it. I got Rob, the actual Frame.io guy over here. So he's gonna actually walk us through like the real deal of what it takes to connect your camera, how to do it, what its real philosophy about it is, good application for it. Next time I got Shotti over here, who is a really talented, great eye photographer. I'm gonna say it's like fine art editorial feeling, portrait stuff, got a fashion vibe to it, but there's a, you know, there's a narrative, but it's got that like, you know, it's a little special, little art school kid thing. I'll give it to Shotti over here.
Appreciate that.
And on the end, I got Alison Conklin, who, very special photographer, does some really, really great work with families, portraits, weddings, events. And we actually had a good conversation on Coffee with the Creators, our podcast, where she talked about her whole journey creating Bonus Days, which is a magazine, which she curates, shoots for, produces everything. And you can find out all that information on Coffee with Creators on actually this channel. Yeah, I'm so used to saying the other channel. This channel. And I'm Seth Miranda. I forgot that part, but you guys, whatever. Camera to cloud, what is it and why are we doing it? So, Rob, why don't you talk us through what exactly is Frame.io, what camera to cloud really does and means, and how they can get into doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Frame.io is it's on the web, and it's basically a platform, if you're not familiar with it, lets you centralize your collaboration, right, for media workflows. We started many, many years ago, primarily for video. We've obviously grown that quite a bit since then to support pretty much any media type you can upload. And the main gist is you can bring all of your collaborators into that space. Whatever you're working on, you can share that work with those people, get the feedback in one spot, so you don't have to go chasing emails and texts and whatever else, Slack messages. It's all just in one place. So we also launched Camera to Cloud about almost 4 years ago now. And that allows you to connect your device, your camera, directly into Frame so that you can do that collaboration as you're acquiring your content, right? So taking Frame.io out of sort of post-production and work in progress into the actual production part, right? So you're shooting, you can bring people into that process as you're doing that. So I'm gonna walk through kind of how it works and what it looks like in the Fuji cameras. So if you've not seen Frame before, this is the main interface you'll get into when you join or log in. So I have this project here called C2C Demo, which is I'm going to use for the demo today. And then inside of that project, I have a whole bunch of assets here. Let me turn this off, make it a little bit easier to see. These are all things I've shot before, but I'm going to shoot some new stuff today with my camera. So I have this tab here called C2C Connections, and this is where I can see all of my devices connected to this current project. You can see I've got my X100, I see Alison's X100 is connected, but I'm going to connect my GFX 100S the second here. So it's really simple. I just connect it to Wi-Fi. I have a little hotspot I'm using right here. That's just LTE. I can put that in my pocket, in my backpack. It's really, really easy. And then once I'm connected to the internet, I can ask Frame.io for a 6-digit code on the camera. Now, once I have that code in Frame.io, I can just tap that in, right? So 810 and 509. Frame.io will automatically recognize the camera that I'm connecting. It says it's a GFX 100S the second. I know that's my camera, so I can authorize it to connect. And then I'm sitting next to my computer here, but they're actually communicating through the web. So if you have a team of photographers, whoever's in charge can connect those cameras without getting those freelancers, day players, whatever, into your Frame.io project if you don't want them in there, right? But either way, I've got this connected. I'm going to name this Rob's GFX 100S, because that's what it is, and hit complete, and now it's connected. You see it's online. It's ready to go. So if I just take some pictures here, take a picture of the audience here. There we go. And as I'm taking pictures, my camera is just uploading, right? So I have it set to automatic. You can set it to manual as well, right? So you're not uploading everything. But for this, I'm just going to do it automatically. I'll take one more just for the sake of demonstration. There we go. And those are currently uploading into my project. So if I navigate to the folder where they live, which is today, we have our assets coming in right here. So there's the first one. I can open that up. And once it's uploading, again, I'm on cellular, and this is a GFX 100, right? So it's 100 megapixels. I'm uploading JPEGs, but you can upload JPEG or RAW, right? And you can choose that in camera. Fuji lets you decide exactly which formats you want to upload. And if it's JPEG, you can control the size of that JPEG file. So you can make it really small if you just want something to get feedback on, or big if you actually want to use that for delivery, right? Doesn't matter. It's totally up to you and up to what, kind of your network environment is. So right now I'm on cell, so I probably should have used a smaller JPEG, but here we are. So this is coming through.
But you can do proxy files too, right?
Yes, exactly. So I'm doing stills. The Fujis obviously support video also. But once they're here on Frame.io, then we have all of these collaboration tools, right? So actually, all these are uploading. Let me come back here a second. This is really fun. If you have your phone, you can scan this QR code. I created a share, right? So Frame.io, the fabric of it is collaboration. So I made a share ahead of time. So if you scan that, that'll take you to that share I made where all of my assets are going, right? So all of you will be able to see this, which is a lot of people to share it with. But this can be your stakeholders, your client, whoever it is that you're working with that needs to see the assets or collaborate with you on. You can share that out as you're shooting, right? So if I come back into my folder here, I've got my assets are coming up, and now they're here. Which is great. I can see them, I can look at them, but the really important thing is people can give me feedback, we can communicate. So we have some basic tools here. So, I can say, what's your name? Nicholas. All right, so I can say, hi, Nicholas, right? And leave that as a comment. And then someone else who's in the project can do the same, right? So let's say we're out shooting a product shot, and we get some extra stuff in the background. Art director can say, hey, let's remove that. I can reshoot it, right? We'll do that in real time. And they don't have to be there. If they can't be there while I'm doing that, we can still have that close collaboration. Of course, I can also just simply pin a comment to here and say, nice hat, right? So now that's pinned to that specific location on the image. So again, it's kind of, you've got all these tools. There's a lot more in here that we can get into, but that's kind of the basic idea. Now, what's really cool is, okay, great, I've got my assets up here. I'm getting feedback. That's awesome. But if I actually want to work on these, we have a connection from Frame.io into Lightroom. So if I switch over to Lightroom, you can see here's the images I just shot. They're already in Lightroom, ready to edit. So I have this connected to my Lightroom account, but if I'm working with an editor, they can be have their Lightroom connected to Frame.io, and they could be getting the images while you're shooting, making the edits, and getting them delivered. So it's a very, very fast run through of camera to cloud and how it works in the Fuji cameras. We're super psyched about all the cameras Fuji has. I'm using the GFX 100 as the second here, but there's the X100s. All the Gen 5 cameras support it, either out of the box or with a firmware update. So that's camera to cloud.
Yeah, and when I first heard about this, I was like, what? And they handed me a camera that I already had in my hand before, updated the firmware, and then all of a sudden I see a Frame.io brand. Like, what is going on here? It actually was a collaboration. It's not just going to a cloud that's in an isolated system, like an isolated brand. If they're in an Adobe workspace, which a lot of people are, especially if you're working commercially, you're shooting into that workspace for someone else to deal with. Art directors, whoever's producing, your editor. People are getting it from an editor to a client while you're still shooting. If you're someone that shoots to wire, sports, press, whatever, it's shooting to wire without a wire into a collaborative space, not just to a Dropbox, not just to like a specific software that they better have. No, they probably have it, right? Because they're in Adobe. So I'd say the collaborative is the biggest part about it, right? And I think the two on the end here can really talk about this. So Shotti, you work with a lot with art directors and people in there, but you were telling me you actually use this for events, which I didn't know you were going to say, honestly.
Yeah, no, I use it for both, and there's value in both for the applications. I think portrait-wise, when I'm in the studio and I'm doing collaborations with, let's say, an art director or somebody who's retouching the images later, it's easy to, like, on set, you can take a photo and, like, here's what this thing looks like. Is everything okay? And then maybe there's some feedback that comes in, like the third person on the left, make them brighter or something. And then it's like, wait, is it my left? Is it your left? Are you confused which left? But when you have it in this app, they can make the feedback right there on the image. Not only that, but there's other softwares that you can kind of like do the collaboration and have the live view. But with this, you're like actually getting the file too. So edits can begin to already start being made. And by the time you're shooting stuff, when you walk off set, you may already have like a preliminary pre-edit on some of the stuff like right then and there. So that's how I use that in the studio. You kind of use it the same way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for my work, I do a lot of magazine editorial shoots, and so it's really nice. Sometimes I'm super caught up in making sure my lighting is right and all these things, and they're like, wait, you need to get a horizontal so we can put words on the left-hand side, and I'm not thinking that. So it's really nice in real time rather than to be home with the shoot, giving it to them, edited, and then, the editor saying like, but did you get this? And then you have to be like, no, I didn't. So there's like a real-time conversation that you're having, so you can make sure that the client's going to be happy in the end. You can kind of walk out with this confidence knowing like, I got what everybody needed. They saw the work as it was being shot. And for me, that's like, you can't compete. That's perfect.
Even for the video, because now if you do photos, you kind of have to do video as well. So getting the feedback on the video parts, when you upload a video and it shows in Frame.io, you can leave feedback, but specifically to a certain point on the video, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
kind of like
exactly.
using time code, and you can be very exact. Like this clip needs to be longer. You can mark right on the timeline in Frame.io where that clip needs to be shortened, extended, or changed. And the feedback tools that you could use, they're really on point.
Right.
One of the things I found pertinent about it was we're working in real time now, right? So how many times I've been on a job commercially and phone photos of what I was doing were already hitting Twitter and Instagram before I delivered?
Right.
Well, why can't I have that power? Why can't my camera go to that real-time world and go through the channels that are the ones that are in charge of filtering down the shots I took to what their brand represents, their brand from the publication, right? So I worked in magazines for a long time. I got to work slowly. You know how hard it was for me to get my brain around working that real time? What if I didn't have to wrap my brain around it? What if I'm just shooting and it's doing it for me? One of the things that blew my brain about this was, I don't know how many of you guys know Victor Ha, who's like a legendary figure within the Fujifilm world. We had him on here at the podcast. He comes up to me at a photo walk and told me to scan a QR code he had printed on his shirt, and everybody's shots are going into my phone. Now imagine at an event, a party, a bar mitzvah, or whatever. Imagine that's happening. How many of you have been to bar mitzvahs or whatever? I keep saying bar mitzvah, but I only know from personal experience. You had 1 million disposable cameras and you hoped you saw what came from those. Imagine all that's happening collaboratively. It doesn't have to just be a pro tool. It's our world today. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know you guys.
That's actually my favorite use of camera to cloud Frame.io, because I'm terrible at delivering images. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like my family's waiting for photos I took 3 years ago.
You're a creative. That's
why. I can't keep up. So now what I do, even at family events, I'll just set up a folder, throw a little the barcode. What is it?
The QR code.
The QR code, and I'll put it on my phone as the screen, and people just scan it as I'm making the images, taking the photos. I'll pick the one I like, send it right up to the cloud. They can go and just download it. There's a preview link. You can enable it to download or not if you don't want. You can put your watermark on it. And I just let people download whatever image they want, like right from there. I'm like, I don't ever have to talk to you ever again. Just scan this, go on. I'm gonna do my thing. You do yours. If you like the picture, you download it. So that's one of my favorite uses for it.
Yeah, you can alienate your family.
Yeah.
But also you can send it to like something like an AI retoucher in between as a go-between, and then it's right.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of ways to plug into different workflows, and one of the things I like to tell people when I'm showing them Camera Cloud for the first time is once it's on Frame.io, it's just on Frame.io, right? It's just like any other sort of cloud collaboration platform. You can move it, take it off, go wherever you need to go. We've got obviously some integrations at Adobe because we make the tools that can integrate, but once it's there, then you have it. Then it's yours. You can kick off whatever workflow that you need, as complex or as simple as that needs to be.
Any other applications you guys use it for?
I mean, I just like it from the safety point too, right? I mean, it's going to live somewhere that's in case your card, whatever.
Yeah.
There's that aspect of it that I
Like a
love.
backup.
It's a backup.
Yeah.
Like it's, and also I hate downloading cards. If I'm being honest.
Well, you work a lot of weddings, so you're really straight.
It's out. Yeah, it takes a good amount of time to download all the cards and, to like have it already be kind of safe in a safe zone. I mean, you can't, that's priceless because you never want to be that person that has to say, hey, there's a corrupted card and I lost it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like there's that extra little like safety net, right? The safety net of your director or art director or designer or whoever's going to say, yes, this looks great. You've left enough space for copy. Like I've left jobs and had the cover already laid out because they were able to see the images as they came through. And, then you did a good job. Because I don't know about you, but I'm always second guessing everything I do. So if it's nice to have like a team behind you looking out for the things that I'm not thinking about, it's perfect.
That reminds me too, because you can view the raw files directly from the presentation or the preview link.
Yep.
And there's a lot of times where even my laptop, my own files, sometimes, Finder or whatever you're looking to view, you can't see the preview and you have to download the images or bring it into another file converter. So being able to see the actual raw files too, just as if they were JPEGs is kind of cool.
Yeah, and you think about, talking about product shots and events, things that you have to shoot that only exist once, right? Making sure you got all the content that you need to get before you leave, and that's doesn't exist anymore, right? It gives you that confidence with whoever you're working with too. We find that with a lot of the people that we work with is just being able to make sure that I got everything I need to get, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's missing. I covered everything. I've got it all done.
There's a question in chat if it doesn't work with Canon. As of right now, Fujifilm first of all pioneered putting it into camera, and I think Lumix it also works with as well. But really, right now, it's being built out by Fujifilm, I'd say.
Yeah, so Fujifilm has the most cameras. We have some other partners. We have a bunch of information online. Just go to help.frame.io. You can look it up. And all the cameras we support, specific models of all of those as well, and how to kind of plug into workflow.
And it's mainly, they're asking what's the oldest GFX and XL work with. It's mainly Gen 5, right?
The
Mainly
oldest
processor 5.
GFX is the GFX 100 the second.
Yes.
Anything with
And
the X processor 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the X, they launched with the XH2S and the XH2.
Yes.
So those would be the oldest, yeah.
Yeah, and if you have an XH2, XH2S on some older firmware, you might still need the grip. If you don't want to use the grip, you can update the firmware to use it without that grip.
You guys have any questions in the crowd? Eric?
Yeah, so that application software, is it only just for Apple products, or can it be used for like Windows?
Is it only
So
for Apple?
the Frame.io, is it just for Apple products? No, it's for any. If you have the internet, I think.
Yeah, so Frame.io is a web app, right? So you just go in the browser. So I'm just in Google Chrome, right? Frame.io. You just sign in. We do have an app specific to iOS, but the main product is on the web.
Cool.
Also, I will add, if you are an individual Creative Cloud subscriber and you already have Adobe, specifically Creative Cloud All Apps, not Photography Bundle, you have access to Frame.io already. So just go to Frame.io, sign in with the email you use for Adobe, you're good to go.
You're all nodding your heads like you should have started with that. Well, I mean, I think the key is like there's nothing to sell you here, right? Like if you already have a Gen 5 camera, update the firmware. First of all, you should be doing that anyway. And if you have an Adobe login, go poke around what's available to you. You're already paying for the login, right? Any other questions in the crowd so far? I know you were first, I'm sorry.
How does it work with Dropbox? Can you sync like specific folders?
Can you sync with Dropbox, like a hot folder?
No, Frame.io, we don't have a connection to Dropbox today.
Folder, it's at Dropbox.
Oh, I just named it Dropbox. It's like, that's just where I dump stuff.
You might want to work on that when you're doing a brand event. What's up?
So like, when you're using this type of workflow, is
Is it hard to educate the client on what it actually is and how it works?
That's a very good question. The best thing I found is doing exactly what I did with you guys. Just give them a share link. And then as the images are coming in, they tend to sort of get it. The tools are pretty easy to use. Generally, when I'm training people, they kind of get it pretty quick. If I start going into the technical of like how to connect the camera and what it's actually doing, then maybe it goes a little over their head. But for a client, give them a share link is my recommendation. But I would love to hear what you guys.
Yeah, no, it's pretty intuitive. I don't read instruction manuals or directions, or I just jump in there and start pressing buttons. And I haven't really had to explain too much to clients, but also we're doing basic functions. This looks good, okay, approved, or leaving notes. I'm sure there are way more intricate things that you can do with it that might require some explanation, but as far as just getting started and getting the collaboration going, it's pretty much 1, 2, 3.
Right. Yeah, it's just like a link that all of a sudden all these images are just going to populate in. And so, I mean, I think in our digital world, everyone understands that idea.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty much providing them with that. And then everyone can realize they can notate things and make, you know, little remarks on pictures and video.
Question, do you ever layer this up when you're shooting live with like a capture one or anything at the same time, or is this kind of replace that for you, like in your workflow?
Can you use within
Can
another
you-
software you're asking?
Like, do you personally do both still? Like, have it, sync those to the capture one at the same time, or you just?
So you can sync this with Capture One. They're in early stages of development, so there's still some fine tuning and kind of ways to implement like the best workflow for it. So you can use it with Capture One. It's just a matter of what works for
I
you.
mean more of like if you're doing on a shoot right now, right? I can hardwire my cam to the laptop, and everything I shoot just goes straight, into like a capture one. But what I'm looking at this, it seems like I really don't have to do that anymore because I can do it in the cloud now.
Right.
It's just going, is that kind of
Yeah. So yeah, in theory, you could do that. Just keep in mind, like, Frame.io is based on the internet. So like your internet connection is gonna really determine how much of that you can actually do and how fast you could do it. Yeah.
basic functionality, like essentially
Yeah.
makes sense. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No doubt.
There's a question online. Are there limitations to an Adobe Frame.io subscription as to direct Frame.io subscription?
Yes, the subscription that's included with Adobe Creative Cloud is slightly different than the regular subscription. I forget the exact details. It's all on our website. There's more affordance than the regular free subscription, but you do get more if you go up to the pro or team level. So it's sort of in between.
And there's a question, is this for XS10 or XS20? It's anything with an X processor 5 from Fujifilm. So there's also on your site, there's a list of compatible cameras, and on Fujifilm's website as well.
Yeah, if you just Google Fujifilm camera to cloud, you'll find an article. We list every single camera body that supports it.
Cool. Question? How much storage space for a subscription?
For the the tiers and
Yeah. So the Frame.io that's included with Adobe is up to 100 gigabytes, and then it just goes up from there. Yeah.
That's pretty good. This is the quietest crowd ever. I'm not used to this. I mean, I know we're like more rambunctious usually, and we're like shooting live and throwing things around and stuff, and I know the fact that there's not a lot of questions kind of shows you how simple it is. I want to shoot, it goes to a cloud that people can access. You guys were all able to access him from a QR code. Does it get simpler than that? I was super skeptical. I'm old school. I like hard lines on everything. But I scanned a t-shirt QR code and I started getting pictures on my phone. I went to Tokyo for the X100 release, and everything we were shooting as a group was going to my phone from everybody else. I got to see everybody's view of Tokyo along with myself, like that in real time. And I think that's the key, right? And I'll tell you a quick story. Like I did a commercial makeup job, and a client who was a little well known took a picture of my screen and went on social. They just started using that. That was it. They didn't even need what I shot. I got paid. That was it. Imagine in real time. You're able to get this to who's going to use it, where they're going to use it. And I think that you don't realize how valuable that is till it's really in your hand and you're doing it. And also, you're literally just shooting how you would normally shoot. That's it. You know what I mean? So, having said that,
I think there's also some like nice things that you don't have to keep re-entering your password if you are using, like if you have a studio and you're using that Wi-Fi,
Nice.
you can enter the password one time and kind of save your network or right your
Yeah,
connection, I guess you
exactly.
would call it, which is kind of like anything to save time, anything that.
Yeah, I mean, right, exactly. You just turn it on, you start shooting to Seth's point, and it's all right there. Seth mentioned something about shooting with a bunch of people, and it can get kind of confusing to organize all that stuff. FrameIO will do that automatically, which is really nice. So if I had all three of these cameras connected, each camera would automatically go to their own folder, which is great organizationally. But what's really nice about that is myself as a photographer, Shotti, Alison as photographers, we just shoot. FrameIO takes care of everything. Don't have to worry about too much education on the camera side. They can just do what they need to do.
And you're redundant to the card, like you said.
Right.
So you have them local no matter what. So if you're like, oh, what if I lose connection with it? You still have them locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I use the hotspot on my phone, to be honest, to go right from the camera. But I think if you have the grip, are we talking about the grip at all? If you have the grip, you could actually plug directly into the Ethernet, like hardwire,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And that blazing fast upload speed.
The GFX 100, the second, also has an Ethernet port
Yes.
built in.
So essentially there you're shooting to wire, but to a collaborative space. That's the thing. It's not just to a cloud, it's to the FrameIO space. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Yeah. When I see this, I'm like, all right, you guys are so low energy, it's killing
You had
me.
a question though?
Yeah, one more question. Thinking about FrameIO since the shared space, collaborative space, can you pop into what it looks like to maybe like lock down the space or different access levels within the space? Or
Sure. Yeah, I can do that real quick. So if you look right here, these are all the people who are in my project. And I can control who's in the whole project. I can control who's in the whole workspace. And I can also control who's in the folder, right? And then with the links, I can also control that. So I just made a public link for you guys, obviously, so you can all see it. But I can lock this down, right, to secure. And then I can invite specific people. And what's cool about this does not give them access to your project and your workspace. This is just the share, right? So if you have your own workspace where you're getting all of your content together and you only want client or whoever to see very specific images, you can share them with the link. That's all they see. You can control that there.
So could we do, because the way that I use it mostly in this case is that I'll make a presentation link. So you don't see the project at all. You just see the photos that I want presented that you can download from right then and there. So could we set one of those up too?
Yeah, so in FrameIO V4, we have sort of one share experience, and you can kind of customize it to be and appear however you want, right? So this is sort of the basic default here, which is a little bit more textured, right? A little bit more involved. I can control what data is available for viewing here. I didn't get into the metadata tags. It's a little probably beyond this session, but I can control sort of the sizes, right, of things if I want to, how the thumbnails look. I can also put in a custom banner here, right? So you can put your own branding there, or the branding for the client, whatever makes sense. And I'm in this grid format, but I can switch it to real, which is a little bit more of that presentation style Shotti was talking about. And I can set up all my security, but also turn on and off what data I'm showing, as well as how it's sorted and all of that. So there's a lot of power in these share creators. So you can kind of tweak and find what makes sense for you or for the client, right?
If I share a picture in project and someone delete that picture from the project, is it deleting from everybody or just for his own or her?
Good question. So you asked if someone deletes a picture that you uploaded in the project, that will delete for everybody, but only if they have delete access, which you can control.
And how do I control it here?
So we have a whole user settings. So if I go into settings and then users, I can control exactly who has access to what in there. Yeah.
I got one more.
Keep them coming.
I'm hella curious.
Pause.
Yeah. So All right, so I think about it now. So like when I deliver files, like Pixie said, obviously it's pretty popular, right? But I'm thinking about something like this. If I have all of my raws dumping into the shared folder that they can go through, they can make their selects, they can pick before I do any of the edits. I'm thinking from a functional standpoint, do y'all then, because it can be tied to Lightroom, go into Lightroom, make your edits, sync back to Frame.io for like a final folder that you deliver to the client? Is that something like a use case you might use this for? Or?
Yeah, so you're asking if if I'm uploading everything to Frame.io and it goes to Lightroom to then do the edits, go back to Frame and share that. Yeah, absolutely. Today, the Lightroom connection is one way from Frame to Lightroom. We don't have it going back yet, but you can always export and upload. And what's nice about the share links is they're, however you set them up in terms of the assets you choose to be in them, it's dynamic, right? So if you share something out initially with, say, the first version of something, then you've got edits, you can upload into that share, and now the new edits are there. We also have a concept of version stacking,
Stacks, yeah.
where you can stack an image right on top of another one. I'll show you that real quick. It's I don't have two versions of something, but let's pretend that these are the same image. I can just drag this right on top, and now I've got a second version of it, but it's taking up one space in the workspace. So if I open this up, I can actually view them side by side as well, so I can compare them.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember like how early we are in this, right? And the more people use it, the more perspective points of feedback come from that to then build out going forward, right? So if this is where it is starting, you know, we're creatives, we can think where this is gonna go, right? And like I said, it's not like, hey, go buy some, like, no, update your camera and go sign into Adobe and try it. If you have a Fujifilm with the next processor 5, like that generation, go to your connection in your menu, go to the Frame.io, log into Adobe, and just try it.
Try it, yeah. I'm
Shoot
still
your
figuring
cat. I
out
love shooting
stuff.
cats.
Language. I'm still figuring out new things when I use it to kind of like apply and fine tune how I'm using it. It's just a matter of, like you said, like just trying different things out, because there are uses and ways to use it that I think sometimes like even they couldn't really think like, oh, wow, you could use it in that way. So it's like kind of figuring out just how it works for you based on the tech that's available. And they're kind of like adding new stuff all the time.
Right.
I want to shout out some people in the chat though, like Abcise, Size, and Bax. What up? Thanks for tuning in.
Ab's always around.
I do see a couple questions about connectivity and the network. So I thought I might just take a second to talk about that. So one of the questions we get, and I see it a couple times there, is what kind of connection do you need? How fast? How reliable? You don't need something that's super fast. We're talking about, JPEGs. Like I was saying, if I'm uploading the 100 megapixel RAW, then we might need something a little bit bigger. But typically, like I'm using this hotspot, right, which is connected to T-Mobile, and it's like 20 megabits up, and it works just fine. I was walking around the city last night doing it, and it worked totally fine. So you don't need a ton. It depends, obviously, how many cameras you have, how many images you're shooting at once, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of figure it out. But cellular is fine. Then obviously Wi-Fi and et cetera. So the cameras have Wi-Fi built in. Some of them, like we were saying, have Ethernet. They don't care where that network comes from. It can come from a hotspot. It can come from a facility, your phone. Doesn't matter. And actually, they also support USB tethering to your phone. So you can just plug your phone in over USB to get that hotspot.
And all the cameras don't have to be on the same network either.
That's
like they can be on different networks. So you could run something from your phone, somebody else is using their phone, and they can both go into the same project in their own separate folders or however you set it up.
Right.
If you really want to dig into it, I have a support article on our website, help.frame.io, that has like the actual math you can use to figure out the speeds you need for what you're shooting. But otherwise, yeah, anything from 20 to 30 is a good place to start.
Guys, have any other questions? You seem thrilled, I know.
Is there like a favorite use case that has kind of filtered through? I mean, I know you talked about a few in the beginning, like maybe during live shoot parties, anything that maybe that no one's thought about or asked yet?
Favorite use case? Is that what you just said?
Favorite use case.
I mean, I think it'd be fun if I shoot a lot of weddings. So as a wedding photographer, it would be really cool if I had an editor who was receiving these images, and then at the end of the night, I could be like, hey, and I didn't have to take my time away from shooting any like candid, beautiful moments. It was just simply the editor sent me the photos, and I could be like, here are some great sneak peeks, right? Like that would be amazing, I think, if I had somebody just on the other end edit it for me in real time.
Same. So at my photo studio, LR2, we do like a lot of community stuff. One of the things is we do holiday portraits where families come, they sit with in the front of a holiday backdrop with a figure. We do the photos and then they get them right away. But I usually will have somebody on the other end. They could be on set or not. Just, I make 5 images, maybe 1 or 2 of them are good. They're in the folder, selecting that best image, dragging it to the next folder where everybody could download it. So it's really that collaboration element of it is going to be the best use case, where you don't necessarily have to be next to somebody on set with you. They could be in the comfort of their own home. That could save you money on a production, having to bring people out, or just it's a lot easier to do it that way. So for me, that's the most efficient use. And then the funnest use is like at events, making an image of somebody and then they're like looking at their phone and they automatically have it right there.
Right. So you never have to talk to them again, right?
Yeah. Or if we do talk, it's very specifically about what we want to talk about, not about where can I get my image.
I mean, I think it keeps us photographers, right? It keeps us in the moment shooting while someone else is handling, either the editing or the directing of make sure you get this. And we don't have to get lost in like thinking of all the other things. We can kind of keep tabs on what's happening around us, lighting, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you've been producing your own magazine. That's a huge hill to climb.
Yes.
Have you been using this?
I have. And I started my own magazine. I'm working on that. And so I have an art director, like graphic designer. And in January, we're going to Oklahoma and Atlanta to do some shoots. She'll have a link. I'll be shooting it. And she can just be like, hey, looks. And usually what I'm doing is I'm forgetting to like shoot wide enough, right? For editorial, they need bleed space. Because I'm not in that headspace. I'm thinking about photos and angles and lighting. And so she can just be like, hey, just like send me a little note that pops up on my phone and in real time, and I can remember to just like take a couple steps back, right? And it seems and sounds so silly, but in the moment, it's rather better than like on the plane ride home going, oh, I didn't get what I needed, right? Like that is the worst feeling in the world. So like, and it's so intuitive, it's so easy to use. I mean, and I think that's the most incredible part of it is, it's super intuitive. Like I consider all Fujifilm cameras very intuitive to use. So this is just another aspect of it, making it easier for us. And there's, like I mentioned before, you don't have to keep entering a password if you're using that same connection. That's so nice, right? Yeah. It's just those little things that make it a lot easier on us, in the field working.
And you don't have to be on your computer, like at a laptop or a desktop. You could look at it on your phone. So there's really no excuse. Like, I sent you the images, give me your feedback right away. Like,
right.
Yeah. And the people you're working with can do something as simple as like you can set up these custom fields that just have status here. Right? You could just, even as simple as just approved. And then you can see exactly what they've said they like, and you can filter that and just see that very quickly and know that you're good.
There's a question in the chat basically asking if you could speak to the video capability, because right now
sure.
we're talking about stills, but
yeah,
video proxies, man. Imagine getting started on an edit. Imagine that. So what's the capabilities on that?
Yeah, good question. So all the Fujifilm cameras that shoot video can upload the video to Frame.io. Obviously, each camera has different video capabilities. The GFX and the XH2S and some of the bigger ones have dual record, so you can record proxy in camera and the original, and you can choose to upload whichever one you want. Again, it's sort of a bandwidth thing, right? So to Seth's point, if you're uploading proxies, you can send that to your editor. They can start working on it. And obviously, they're very, very lightweight. Or again, do all the feedback and collaboration. It's simple. It's on the camera. All I have to do is switch to video mode and make sure that I have the video format selected as something to upload, and they just go. And then on Frame, we say, oh, hey, this is a still, this is a video, and we'll organize it automatically.
That's pretty good.
Maybe just like a technical question. How easy is it to, like, when you're uploading, change the file names?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you just click on it and
That's
change
about
it.
it's about changing file names on the fly.
Yeah, just like, so it's easier for the client to see which one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I can change the file name as soon as it hits Frame.io. I have the ability to do that. Just click on the name and change it. You can also label it as something else if that's easier. So, for example, I I can create a field here that's maybe for the specific product that it is that I'm shooting, and label it that way, and that'll automatically filter into a collection. And you can just send that to the client as well.
Cool. All right. I feel like we got it, right? We're kind of in it. Any kind of anecdotes you guys want to add on this? Or I think like it's so like you shoot, it goes to Frame.io. What else do you want, right? I mean, like, I don't know. Anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a great little, tool to have in your kit.
And it's evolving. Like
Right.
it's like we're starting. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's new. And so can you imagine if you get it on now and you know exactly what's going on, and then imagine where it's going to be in months from now?
Imagine an art director being happier that they're working with you faster than the guy next to you, the person next
Right.
to you, and then you want to get called back. Imagine just having that option on the table, right? Nothing cost, right?
Yeah.
Or if they can't get to the shoot, they can still be part of that.
If they're
that
lazy,
process.
Well, I will say, after what the world just went through, I work with art directors and editors that aren't in New York anymore. They're sitting at home. They just got to make decisions. They've got to go to a space to make decisions. Now they can go to a collaborative Frame.io space to do that. I mean, you don't want to miss out on giving more options to the client and then come back here and tell me, like, I don't know why I don't have any work. Like, we have to assimilate. I never thought I'd have to learn this, learn video. I never thought I had to learn any of this. And now I'm streaming everything for Adorama, right? So it's a new technology. It's a new workflow, which is more important. And it's not hard to try out and see how it works for you and how you would use it and apply it. So I'm just saying, if you're already within Fujifilm system, check your firmware. See if you can connect to Frame.io, just log into Adobe, and you just saw him do it right now. You go and just get your 6-digit code, punch it in, that's it. And then you expand from there. Any last questions on this, guys? Teresa?
Sorry if I missed this, if somebody already asked. In the beginning, you were saying that you don't have to upload every photo. So how do you differentiate?
Yeah, good question. So you're asking if how do you control what you upload, right? So I have my camera set to just automatically upload everything, because that's the way I like to work. But you can turn that off in the Frame.io menu. There's a bunch of settings that you can control exactly how something uploads, exactly what assets upload, etc. So you can turn off the auto upload, and then you just upload it from your playback menu. And you can just go through your images, find the ones you like, hit the upload button, and it'll go up. And then it'll create a queue of all those assets and just upload as you're shooting as well. So
If you're trying, if you're doing what Rob said and you're trying it right now with your camera, just make sure you select the upload file type, because that's like the number one thing. If you're looking at images and you're trying to send stuff up, nothing's going up. Just make sure you have which file type you want selected, because it won't pre-select it for you. So you'll say, I want this to take JPEGs and send them up, or RAW files or MOV files. So you get to determine what gets sent up and what doesn't. So you can shoot RAW files and JPEGs, but only send up the JPEGs, or both, or like that.
Yep.
There's a question in the chat if you can use Frame.io and tether locally at the same time.
Sure. I don't know the Fuji's well enough to do that, whether you can or can do that. But the Frame.io function is kind of its own thing, and it's just uploading through the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet, and then tether is a separate function. So I don't know if anyone at Fuji.
I'm gonna try that. I'm actually. That sounds cool. I don't know why I never thought about that, but I'm gonna try that in the studio tonight.
That's what I meant earlier when I was asking. The tether, that's the
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I got you.
You want to shoot to capture one and also go to Frame.io at the same time?
Okay.
Long day.
Got you.
Well, I get it. It's humid, it's damp, it's dark. I get it. I mean, that's actually, I haven't, yeah.
I'm gonna definitely try that. Yeah,
I'll let you know later. I'll text you.
And yeah, if you're looking for the Frame.io function in the camera, it's in the networking menu. So it's a totally separate function than the tether. So it doesn't necessarily replace it.
You'll see the Frame.io branding. Like, it's not just like a word. Like, it jumps out at you. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Are there any sort of like automated or automation features from Frame.io?
Any sort of automated features?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Automate your workflow in some way?
Yeah, great question. So today, we launched our new version of Frame, which is what we're looking at here, only a couple months ago. And the biggest thing we're focusing on with automation is what we call collections. right? Which are basically smart folders. So you can create collections based on upload date or the status field I have, or whatever field you can apply to that. And as you change those fields, or as things are uploaded or whatever, they'll update in those smart folders, and you can share directly from those folders. So you have sort of an approval and a sharing automation in that way, right? So you can set up your collections so like anything that gets marked as approved goes in this collection automatically. Or let's say anything Alison approves goes into a folder, says assets Shotti needs to approve, and then when he does it, goes to me, whatever. You can set up that kind of thing. We have a pretty deep API and a lot of integrations. Like I said, we just launched V4 a couple months ago, so we're growing that ecosystem currently. But our older version has that, and you can kind of explore what's sort of possible there. But that'll grow to V4 in time.
Cool. You guys good? Up in the back, Carly.
Shotti, your last comment, how do you divide JPEG and RAW files going up? Because that's the exact, you said you can send JPEGs to the cloud, but just be shooting into your card or somewhere else the RAW files. Is that on Frame.io? Where is that?
So that's gonna be in the Frame.io tab. There are different
It's like
settings.
upload.
It's select file upload, I think is the name.
She was asking how do you separate the raw and JPEG?
Yeah, you'll just select, like there's a list, a checkbox of things you can select. So it's
Yeah, it's
select file type.
Yeah, select file type, and then it gives you.
Yeah, you can do MOV, JPEG, RAW, HEIF, TIFF.
Yep.
And if you want to select all of them, you select all of them, and then which you don't. So like most of the time I'm shooting RAW. With the X106, I only shoot JPEG, but any other camera, I'm gonna shoot RAW and JPEGs to send up. The JPEGs are easier to send up. So I'll just send up the JPEGs and I'll keep the RAWs on the card just for me to look back later and cross-reference and whatnot.
And I'll just add to that. So the camera to cloud is an additional functionality. It's always going to write the media to the card as you normally would. So it's always going to be there. So to Shotti's point, you just select exactly what you want to upload, and everything else is just going to stay on the card as usual.
Yeah. Cool. Did that answer the question, Carly?
Yes, thank you.
Holler.
We're kind of hitting time here, so is there any last questions on this? I think that the moral is try it, right? Like if you already are in the system and you already have an Adobe login, try it out. If you want to see it, someone will be happy to demo for you in the Fujifilm table over there. And if you want to check out if your camera's compatible, Frame.io, their website, or Fujifilm's website to see a list. But anything with the X Processor 5, the 5th gen, XT5, XH2, all that stuff, right? Oh, look at this, look at this. Who knew we had a computer hooked up? Go. Look at this guy, so smart. Look at this. These are the people, guys. These are the engineers.
So we have a list of all the cameras that are supported here, and then we also have exactly what you need to get set up quickly and some troubleshooting. So yeah, these are all the cameras that support it today with the firmware versions. If you need to update, the ones that don't list a firmware version are ones that just work out of the box.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Is there, I understand these are all the new cameras. What about the old ones? Is it possible that the app can connect to, for the rest of us who can't afford the new ones? Just throw it back there.
Sure. So the question is, can you use the Fuji X app to upload to Frame if you have a camera that's not supported?
Correct.
It does not do that today. But you can always obviously pull images off the camera through the Frame.io app, upload from your camera roll.
Okay.
So you get that workflow. It's a little clunky, but it works.
Yeah, cool. All right, I think we're pretty good, yeah? I mean, there's an after party you guys want to get to, right? Yeah, I see, okay. Listen, check out Frame.io on the website. Check out Fujifilm's website for all the media. This will be available for playback on Adorama TV if you want to reference anything that was said tonight. It'll be up there forever. And listen, if you're new to this channel, hit subscribe. We appreciate it. Hit like. And we're here all the time. So this event space was built for us by me. So it's for you guys, right? I want to thank you guys for coming out in the rain. I want to thank Rob, Shotti, and I want to thank Fujifilm. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.